Hello, welcome to Desert Planet 2, Mr. Mackey versus Law Aeon versus Cybern. I have no idea if this has been casted or not, but I want to cast it now. Mr. Mackey, definitely on paper a bit weaker than Zlo, but we'll see. Aeon perhaps not the best faction for this map, given that you got to grab a lot of map control. It's usually a 3 versus 3. Each player gets 6 mask extractors, and then there are a couple other mask extractors thrown in. Actually, only about 4 besides the main bases, which each have 6. Looks like a rush for the Hydro. 1 PGN Hydro Air, second air from Mr. Mackey. Second air from Zlo, who's also got a couple flares running around. He needs to get speed anywhere that he can. And when you can't get speed, you're in trouble, and a lot of times Aeon are in trouble. Yeah. Alright, first scout, is it going to be an Inti next, or is it going to be a bomber? Inti. So, guessed right. Intis from both players. They know it's going to be a heavily air map. So, the number one thing in air is to grab initiative, win that first battle, and when you have numbers, air is really all about numbers. Numbers and fighting over your own territory where you can see where you have flag, where you have direct visual, things like that. Flare gets lucky, runs away from the Mantis, and you can see right there what Mr. Mackey did. I want to slow it down just for this. I want to talk about this for a while. Usually what players would see is when a light assault runs by a tank is they'll begin to pursuit. And that's always the wrong thing to do. So many people do it. The thing to do is to continue and put pressure on your enemy. Because if you can create more damage than the flare, then without even killing the flare, you're going to win. Alright, but the thing is there are 2 flares, and this one needs to stay out of the radar range of Mr. Mackey. And it looks like that early battle, it is being taken over by Mr. Mackey. Although it's still extremely close. You can see multiple air factories from Zlo. Zlo way ahead on power, which means he's going to be producing a lot more air. So eventually, and that's very, very, very poor micro. That's unfortunate. And this is where actually, when you're deciding where to put your concentration, early game air fights is a very, very good place. Yeah, this right here is huge to what will happen in the future in this game. They're still scouting from Mr. Mackey. But these Intis, and if you can hear that buzzing in the background, landscaping. These people, they just can't stop mowing the lawn. One factory making engineers, another one making flares. Actually, 2 factories making engineers, not 3 air factories. Expansion, they see you going to the bottom. Whole bunch of flares. This will be a critical engineer to kill if you want to hurt Zlo. This flare, though, already with 1 kill, being very annoying. Interesting, this is one of those maps where the meta for it, or the standard gameplay, is where the 2 ACUs actually go to the same side, so it's not that symmetric, it seems. They always like to get the ACUs on the bottom. On the top, they're usually ACU-free battles. Force of 5 Manta and the Scout. They probably should go in before this force builds up. This is a bit of a mistake. It's another big mistake people make a lot, is they produce their forces, put them in somewhere no man's land. They're neither playing defense nor offense. They're just sort of waiting for orders. And this is micro right there. Zlo definitely knows how to micro in this game. The air fight continues and domination from Zlo continues. But looking at the numbers here, big advantage in mass. It appears that these Manta may have actually done enough. No, I think it was completely Zlo. He just didn't send too many engineers in that position. And these 2 NGs are huge. Actually, 3 NGs. A lot more expanding NGs from Mr. Mackey. Tech 2 air from Zlo. Now he's going for a quick kills. He just wants to end this. And he probably should. Although, because Zlo has focused his build capacity back home, that's one of the reasons he's not grabbing map control. He does have gunships, and you can see the proper way to use gunships. on opposite side of the map, spread them out as far as possible. And this is another key thing about playing this game. Once you've won air, that should trigger a number of things where you should start using your air supremacy for at least scouting, probably dropping, NG dropping, or going gestures, going gunships. But of course, all those different choices have a different cost to you, so you got to make that judgment. But if you've won and you're not doing any of those things, you're definitely putting yourself at a disadvantage. Mr. Mackey will now come in, and actually, I think he just might win this air fight. So it depends what he targets here. This is where he needs to target the inties, and could have probably been a little better, but I think it's gonna work out no matter what, just because of the big numbers. Yeah, and the gunship spreading everywhere. So even though Zlo does not have air supremacy, he's got gunships everywhere, killing things. Tech 2 flag, Tech 2 land from Mr. Mackey. His HQ is back home. And looks like Zlo thought he had a bigger air advantage than he actually did. He is going to get tech to power. So much quicker teching, and grabbing his mask structures has been the biggest problem. Gunships versus hoplites. Yeah, this is a horrible way to go for a hoplite. They're so weak. But on land, Zlo extremely weak. This ACU could get himself in trouble. If I was facing Aeon, I probably wouldn't do that, even if I just won air, because can we say mercies? Perhaps mercies from Zlo here. I wouldn't be surprised. Good assault on top from Mr. Mackey, denying NGs. The air fight continues as Zlo is going to retreat. So Zlo gives up this expansion. Maybe he just wants to suck Mr. Mackey in. Mr. Mackey, though, has got Tech 2 flag going. He's got air supremacy. Taking air supremacy back from Mr. Mackey will be very difficult. And that's really what we've seen. Zlo giving away mass control for too long, which gave a significant mass advantage to Mr. Mackey. And now we're seeing this mass advantage actually play itself out and all this red on the map. There's a bit of a delay to that, but the better the player, the quicker they'll turn the map, the mass that you give them, into things that will kill you. Auroras continue to dominate. Wow, these are very expert Auroras. Many kills. Actually regenerating themselves because they're all veterans. That's an elite force. Hoplites take care of the PD. Map control firmly in Mr. Mackey's favor, who is also upgrading. That's one thing about Mr. Mackey I've noticed. He does love to upgrade. And that's always good, because even if there's a counterattack from Zlo, and you can see what Zlo is doing, he's skipping a lot of steps in this game. If you try to play like Zlo like this, you're going to be in trouble. I mean, he's already in quite a bit of trouble, but the fact that he has these Auroras, which are absolutely brutal, it's helping him out. Also, his gunships did provide some rating, but as you can see, they're not that big a deal. This Blaze, actually a very good rating unit because it has such high speed. So it's not just a floating tank. Hoplite versus Aurora. This is where Hoplite has an advantage, definitely an advantage. And Harvey's. So Harbs from Zlo. He's already got Tech 2A on air, which means Swift wins. Should give it a possibility of winning air soon. And now with Tech 3 land, these Harveys with their speed, I think, have the capacity to grab map control very quickly. But the longer this disparity in mass continues, the harder things are going to be. Oh, and the transport. Harvey drop into enemy sky when you don't have air control. Now, this tells you that Zlo doesn't feel too good about this game. Or he feels very confident. This right here is a very... I've been saying very a lot this past 10 minutes. Too many times. Gunships coming out. But this, as you will see... Oh... Dang. That was close. But Harvey's down and is going to bring an ass beating. We're going to watch that number drop. Harvey on the other side, just perfect timing. These Harveys were a little later. And, oh, yeah, aborted. That was a very short transport. Gunships, though, yeah, this without air control and gunships from Mr. Mackey, these Harveys are going to have limited capacity to do good. 9 kills on the other Harvey. Swift winds here are critical. And you can see he's low. Still no upgrading. And just moving engineers back and forth between his Tech 3 factory. So he's completely minimal. So I guess if you don't waste units, you don't make wasteful units, you don't need to have that much mass. You can use less mass and play as good as your enemy. You can see this base is a little more beefy. It's now going to get more power as well. But yeah, actually three air factories for build capacity. And I think Swift wins. This Harvey 1 kill, the other Harvey 17 kills. The Harveys are going to be doing damage. Wow, it's low, playing quite well. This right here is a very, very juicy chunk of mass. That's a dead Harv. That's 800 mass just sitting there. That's a Tech 2 mass extractor. You got to reclaim that. Engineer, what are you doing? You realize it takes 400 seconds for one of these to make the mass of that. Oh, well, whatever. And these Harveys, well, one great thing about them, they can reclaim. So Zlo getting very valuable reclamation, also getting a second Tech 2 PGen, and now making Swift wins. If Zlo can win air control, his Harveys should continue to dominate. What is this drop? Ooh, that's a brick to the front lines. This is nice. See, this is what happens when people watch Blackheart and Zoc play on Regular 6 in their best of 15. Everybody's dropping their Tech 3 units to the enemy. I know it's not like the first time it was done, but I've just been seeing that left and right. Ooh, Swiftons take care of that empty transport. 11 kill Harvey, 19 kill Harvey, 2 kill Harvey, an underachiever, 12 kill Harvey. I wonder if they can rescue their wreck here. This Harvey needs to do an extraction. Well, I think that was upgrading. Take your friend. No. So bricks now. These bricks are much slower. And the question is, what is Mr. Mackey fighting for? He's definitely got to be fighting for map control. And he definitely can't outrun Zlo with these Harveys. So he needs to pick what he needs to defend and defend it. I don't think he can play for map control at the Tech 3 stage. He would need very strong air. We're seeing some Tech 2 bombers, perhaps a good idea. And this is Swift Winds versus Tech 1, and that's not a fair fight. Swift Winds are extremely good, as we hear the landscaping people. I want to turn this up. Actually, let me pause this. Alright, looks like the thing that happened is Swift Winds are now dominating air, which means that these Harps, well, of course now these Harps, this is great though. This is such a nice combo. Stealth, brick, flak, and an MML. Good work from Mr. Mackey. Although you see what the Harp's doing, pulling this brick out of the way so another Harp can come in. That's what these will do for you. Elsewhere, we're seeing a little bit of micro from as well. This is at long ranges, you can really dodge shots. And that's one beautiful thing about this game. Are you going to see something like this in Planetary Annihilation? No, because the whole freaking map is right there as a circle. No, it's just the difference between the speed, the range, the movement of the units. It's not even close. It's ridiculous. And of course, this is not what this game's about. It's not about micro, it's all about macro, according to some people. Now this game has a little bit of everything. Looks like here, successful kill. These other two harbs are reclaiming back home. But this one Harvey did get the job done. Still a whole bunch of mass just sitting around. And we remember that one got picked up. So what are the plans for these two players? What we're seeing is a lot of devastation in Mr. Mackey's old base, but he's got a lot of teching. He's got multiple Tech 3 mask ejectors, actually losing some Tech 2 mask ejectors to Harbs. He has no map control, but he does have a foothold here with the hoplites and bricks, although 4 Harbs should be able to take care of him. A brick takes care of the Harby that devastated the bottom base. But of course these Harbs, and this is the way to use them, is not to make a big blob like you would do with bricks or Percy's and walk over to the enemy, is to spread them out as far as possible, similarly to the way the Tech 2 gunships or Tech 3 gunships are used. More power from Zlo. And Mr. Mackey, though, really running away with power. Does he have resource allocation? Yeah, he's got resource allocation. He's going Tech 3 air, so he's going to get strats here. Minute 23. But major losses for Mackey, and actually mass, surprisingly, is now even. And for the large part, it has been. And look at this. How many of these shots are dodged? Oh, at the end, finally. Yeah, not the most efficient brick. Oh, look at this. On a secret mission. Can Mr. Mackey even see that? Nope, he will now. Mr. Mackey is still slightly ahead, but you can see engineer drops from Zlo. He's already got the top expansion. He's had it for a while. Oh, and a big mistake. This could be critical. Oh, this may be the biggest mistake of the game. Each one of those swift ones was 200 mass, so that was like 10 of them, something. Oh, and yeah, this drop is probably gonna die. You don't want to drop on something that looks like this. Yeah, those didn't live for long. And that yeah, don't come back here. It says sending a message to the enemy. Maybe a hard drop, but yeah, this force now maybe a little too powerful. Mr. Mackey, even though the mass incomes are similar now, for a very long time, Mr. Mackey had more, and he invested it in his units that he has now. Actually, a lot of his investments were denied by killing Tech 2 mask extractors. And map control now in Zolo's favor, who's got, looks like most of the bottom of the base, bottom of the map. The only expansion that Mr. Mackey should have is the one on top here, if he's able to defend against these Harbs, which he should be. And Zolo really active on these drops. But the fact that he lost that area there really opens it up to use of, oh, the Tech 3 air, of course. This is what Mr. Mackey has been working on. And now without Swift Winds, a Strat Bomber could be huge. Although there's still a couple. But taking care of those with a couple SF, even the SF that, maybe one more than 3, but 4 or 5 could take care of that for sure. And then following up with a Strat, a couple Strats right here, just a splash. Maybe splash right there, maybe 2-3 bombs could take care of that entire structure. I think that would be game over. Harbs versus bricks. Bricks at range. At least one Harb died. But this would be the primary target. You want to take care of the NGs. And notice how both players are using scouts. This single Harb avoids all the bricks. Just gonna use the speed to continue to deny this expansion. Yeah, this is denial of an expansion. Lots of Tech 1 transports. Still ASF. I think Mr. Mackey could switch to something other than ASF. Maybe Tech 3 gunships. Because that's one thing about these Harbs. They're completely flak free. So either, oh no. Mr. Mackey didn't even notice. That's funny. Your ass. Oh, but while Zlo is stalking, Mr. Mackey gets some payback, kills 2. Oh, no, he only killed 1. Well, maybe he'll kill it. Yep. And look at that Harb. 13 kills, went all the way around and then almost ran away from these bricks. Absolutely ridiculous. Coming up minute 30, the ASF fight. And ASF now coming from Zlo as well. And I think, poor Micro. I think it could have been maybe closer, but now there's plenty of ASF plus Swift Sprints. Zlo getting his second resource allocation. Mackey's still ahead, but I think once Zlo gets his resource allocation, it will be a lot more even. Meanwhile, this Harb uncharacteristically poorly microed. And of course, another huge advantage Harbs have over bricks is out in the field they can go ahead and grab the mass. Mr. Mackey 20,000, reclaims Law 21,000, so a little more. And Strat Bombers. So Zlo, after winning air, he didn't wait, he went to Strat Bombers. Tech 3 engineer, maybe some Tech 3 anti-air from Mr. Mackey. So Mr. Mackey now becoming very defensive. And look at these numbers. That's what map control will do to you. So grabbing his own expansions and denying the enemy expansions. Zlo really showing how to play this game. Let me speed it up while they attack. A Strat Bomber, a couple Tech 2 transports, maybe some more Harby drops. Some hard drops in behind enemy lines could probably be quite potent as perhaps a counterattack. This is a good looking brick force, although a couple of these bricks very much hurt. Lots of reclaim for Mr. Mackey. Maybe another ASF fight, lots of flak. So if you're gonna have an ASF fight, have it there. And was this gonna be a mistake? I think this is a mistake from no, but the micros. Oh, that was a trip. That was a total disaster for Zlo. That's what happened. Well, the Harb's still going to work. So that strat died. I don't think it dropped anything. That was a very poorly used strat. Mr. Mackey will stay with ASF. When you're staying with ASF, you're going to be defensive. You're not going to be hurting your enemy. Strats for Zlo. So once again, Zlo, even though he just lost air, is going to be aggressive. Restores and Strat Bombers. It will be scouted. And this might provoke an air fight from Mr. Mackey. Oh, and there goes that transport. Mr. Mackey evening out the mass income as he picks up all the mass extractors. And his 2 expansion, a very critical air fight. The numbers really saving Mackey. I think Zlo has had much better micro overall though. Strat Bomber not coming in. Yeah, the critical thing about ASF micro, as we gotta see where the strat goes, is not to fly in the same direction for a long time. There goes a Tech 2 mass extractor. These Tech 3 pigeons will be nice targets. As yeah, this is probably a lot of ASF mass. Another Tech 2 mass extractor. This bomber 13 kills. Still has a lot of health. And these whalers, their anti-air is really quite weak. I think that strat's finally gonna die, but you can see the damage. 3 Tech 2 mass extractors. And another drop. A restore, drop. I don't think this drop's gonna make it. If it does, that'll be ridiculous. But it won't. But a drop on the other side. So simultaneous drops, restores, deny, and expansions. Zlo continues to lead in the mass game. The power is now at the 10k stage. So the build capacity for Zlo is a bit lacking, it seems. Although he's definitely using all the mass that he needs, so it's not lacking. Spending a lot of mass somewhere, I'm not really sure where. He's also got a couple Tech 2 mass extractors, which is amazing to see. The Harbs behind enemy lines targeting power. This is a very nice assault from Zlo. If he shoots these units that he needs to shoot. Yeah, if he could have stayed back and killed that, but instead he's gonna go in. Takes out power storage. Gunships for Mr. Mackey. Mr. Mackey is really losing this one. Now this air fight, he's always got numbers because Low busy making offensive units, but I think his micro hasn't allowed him to be as dominant as he should be. Bricks now perhaps in an assault. This is a very big brick force. If Mr. Mackey doesn't lose air while assaulting with these, I think they have the potential to run everything over. And actually might rendezvous with these stealth units in flak. And Mr. Mackey, I think going on an assault in all the different positions would be a good idea. This is definitely a stronghold for Zlo. That's a lot of harbs. But on the bottom, there aren't that many harbs. There is an investment to a Tech 3 support factory. That's the thing, transports, because we've seen both players, especially Zlo, use transports quite a bit. Logistics in this game is critical, and this is what this unit's about, is minimizing transport. So you're taking risks, it's calculated risks, plus micro. And, of course, not dropping on Tech 2 flak. I think you just barely missed. That was very nice placement. A lot closer and that Harvey would have been dead. I think in the air game, there goes the gunships. Zlo is in a position to win air, which means he needs to get close to his flak. And rebuilding some Tech 3, and you can see the power just died. Advantage of the double resource allocation from Aeon. However, it's not just that, it's also these Tech 3 P-gens. Zlo making strats. Yeah, Zlo definitely building just as much as he needs. Although here, a complete disaster, losing the right side. So on the land, we're seeing the game shift in Mr. Mackey's favor, as the air game certainly not in his favor. And this is strats versus, you don't want to take too many of those. But this could be a good place to fight if you have some ASF for Mr. Mackey. This is some flak. And the worst thing you can do is bunch up like this. Yeah, single ASF, trying to do something. More strats. Yeah. This is like the 1967 war in the desert. About as one-sided. Third Tech 3 P-Gen. Tech 3 Mask Extractor. So Mr. Mackey continues to upgrade. And on paper, you would think that bricks should be dominating against harbs, and this is a disaster. Don't want to fly there. Yeah, 2 versus 1 bricks, no contest. These bricks still continue to take damage to the face, although they did their job. They need to retreat, and perhaps if you lose air like this, the way to go is with Tech 3 anti-air. I would think just with the Tech 3 NG, but perhaps now with the mobile Tech 3 anti-air, I actually have no idea how good they are. But a lot of build capacity on Tech 3 air from Mr. Mackey. Oh, and this game has been all about killing ASF with ground units and your own bombers. Lots of reclamation potential here, perhaps. Yep, that's what Zlo is about, sucking up that brick. 31,000, Mr. Mackey 43,000. And yeah, once again, Mr. Mackey's ASF micro, not the best. But definitely good choice of where to fight. Up on top, these bricks I think could be vulnerable against the well-microed Harvey Force. There's some Tech 3 anti-air. We'll have to keep an eye on, see how many kills that gets. Looks pretty badass. Looks like a very long reload on a regular Tech 3, huh? That was a one-shot, one kill. I don't know if it's on the unit database, so I can look up the DPS. More Tech 3 mass extractors. Oh, Mr. Mackey. He hasn't made too much land lately, and a lot of his mass has gone into Tech 3 mass extractors. Trying to out-tech Zlo. Zlo, though, continues to lead. With so much excess power, it's ridiculous. Uncharacteristic. I guess because he paused everything and now switching to ASF. He's got Tech 3 mass extractors of his own. And perhaps another assault from Mr. Mackey. Zlo has upgraded to Tech 2 up on top. That's really probably the weakest position to assault, except for those harbs. The middle's kind of weak. I'll take it back, I'm not sure what I'm saying. This is definitely weaker, but not too much to assault just Tech 1 mass extractors. So Zlo upgrading in the more defended position, that all makes sense. Tech 3 engineers. Mr. Mackey's ACU not under shields, no shields whatsoever, so this base is very vulnerable to strat assaults, and these resties might be lost. Where are you going? Tech 3 anti-air from, that's a pretty cool unit. Whoever designed these units did a good job. I know I've seen that in Total Annihilation before. I think I've seen every single unit in Supreme Commander for Alliance in Total Annihilation before. There's not that much original. Although I'm sure there are. Alright, speed it up even higher. It's been a bit slow as we've seen Tech 3 AA really make a big appearance for Mr. Mackey. Upgrading continues with Zlo leading by 30. And you have to ask yourself the question, why is Zlo always doing the right thing first? And he's reading the game and doing the right thing. And Mr. Mackey is just sort of following up. I thought Mr. Mackey had a big advantage early on, and it just did not happen because of all the Harby assaults. And then, yeah, also the micro and air. Although now, if there's an air battle, I think Mr. Mackey should have at least a chance. So here's Tech 3 anti-air against the resties. They fly away. And now perhaps an air battle. Similar numbers. Stealth from Mr. Mackey. But Zlo is definitely not going to fight here. He'll try to draw Mr. Mackey away when he's not paying attention. Fight him somewhere over here. Couple RDs moving in position. GC more than halfway done. Mackey getting Tech 3. I'm assuming Mackey, actually both players very similar air production. Both with a huge amount of excess power. His PDs holding their own against bricks, at least for a little while. And Harps non-stop. See, this brick was dropped off to take care of the problem, but just in time. But you can be sure, yeah, there are bricks behind both of Mr. Mackey's expansions. That's where you're just leaving a couple, sorry, those harps. So you gotta leave the bricks there to play defense. Already trying to sneak up. Gets taken care of. Trying to sneak up on a Cybern. You get killed by a stealthed counterattack force. Tech 3 Angie's being transported. GC is done. GC is, oh, and this is, oh yeah, Mr. Mackey, if he wasn't paying attention right there, I think he would have lost there. See how far the GC goes. Harby's up on top with a good assault, good timing in the assault. Probably don't want to lead with your Tech 3 anti-air. Yeah, for those of you who haven't been watching this game or playing FAF, you might be wondering, what the heck is Tech 3 anti-air? Well, that's what it is. New to me as well. This game continues to get updates, and this is not what the unit was meant to do. Not supposed to take on GCs, and I think this GC probably got some very nice vet. Those were all Tech 3 units. But Zlo taking the middle with the GC. He's got a whole bunch of harbs in support as well. What's the response? Do you build a spider? Do you build a, it looks like a spider. Do you build a megalith? The spider is usually a pretty good counter to the GC if it assaults you. GC doesn't have as much DPS as the spider, but more health. So if you can sneak up on the GC. The GC continues to get a lot of vet, killing Tech 3 units. Waiting up for the harbs, and they're going to together march in. I don't know if they want to march in directly on Mr. Mackey's base. Perhaps if Zlo makes a couple strats and combines them together with his GC. It looks like the GC is going to pick up the free vet. This force from Mr. Mackey in two separate positions. These Harbies need to be getting on those wrecks. Yeah, these Harbs are crazy. Maybe an air fight. Let's look at the numbers in air. 92 for Mr. Mackey. It's low at 117. Not the numbers you might expect on desert arenas. We see strat bombers. And there goes that transport. Maybe an air fight. And we saw the numbers, so Zlo should win without micro. And with micro, it's likely that Zlo would win. Although, I think Zlo might not be microing well. Oh, that's what you don't do right there. You don't fly away like that. I thought for a while Mr. Mackey had pretty good micro, but you see, as soon as he was flying in a straight line, allowing Zlo to follow up, that's when he completely lost. At least not the rate he was expecting. I guess that's looking at the world in a positive light. But this GC, you don't want to call that a rate. So you can see it's how to draw with a compass and a ruler. That's a compass. 84 kills. That's beautiful. It's very sad that in Planet Annihilation they don't have a Rex because it messes with the game. There goes Mr. Mackey, 54 minutes. Very well played by Zlo. It's what separates really good players from good players. They can be behind on Nico and still dominating. So hopefully people enjoy this one.